Hello everybody, my name is Ratnos, and today we're going to talk about gearing up during Heroic Week, what sorts of sources of gear exist to help make your character as strong as possible. So let's start off by talking about delves, because delves are by far, this is the best week for delves. Delves are kind of incredible this week in terms of what you can get out of them. So the way that you can get the best gear out of delves is by pushing your delves up to tier 8, which means if you've done a tier 3 in the previous weeks, you'll have access to a tier 4. You do the 4, you do the 5, you do the 6, you do the 7. Don't do those in a bountiful delve, which are denoted by whichever delve is like glowy, open door. And then once you get up to tier 8, once you've unlocked tier 8, there's no benefit to going higher. The higher tier delves are just more cosmetics and meta progression and stuff, but they're not better for gear. So once you get access to tier 8s, you can do the 4 bountiful delves that are open on your map. And then tomorrow, the next day, we think that 4 new ones will open up, although there was somebody saying there was only going to be 1 new one per day. I think it's 4. So either way, I think there's 1 per zone per day that will be bountiful, and you can go and do that one and get a champion track, 597, I believe, from the end of the run, or maybe even higher, maybe 603 or something. I think it's actually 603, maybe. And then also, you're filling up a Great Vault, which is 616 Hero 3. Very good Great Vault that's available this week. The other good things you can be doing this week, of course, the Raid, Normal and Heroic, the First Wing of LFR. Obviously, great sources of gear to the extent that you can push those. Not going to talk too much about that because that's not really good advice, right? Like, oh, do the Raid, kill as many Heroic bosses as you can. Like, duh, okay. Let's talk a little bit about the delves a little bit more, though, because there's also these maps. So this was something kind of newly discovered, I think, today. Delvers' bounties are maps that can drop from delves, and it seems, according to the Wowhead Looter, which is a add-on you can install to help Wowhead collect data, it seems like it's got a 4% chance from each side quest chest in a bountiful delve, which I think there's 2 per bountiful delve, and it doesn't seem to drop from non-bountiful delves, and it will drop at the tier of the delve that you looted it on. If you drop it at a tier 8 delve, you will actually then get 610 Hero 1 out of 6 gear out of the next delve that you do after you use the map. So the way it works is basically 2 4% chances per bountiful delve to see one of these maps. I've heard you can get 3 per week. I don't know where I've heard that number from. I guess I've seen that number. I don't know where it's substantiated, but a maximum of 3 per week, maybe. Either way, you're not likely to see that many per week because, 4% per bountiful chest. And you're not going to be able to do 4 per day for very long before you run out of keys. But you use the item, and then the next tier 8 or higher delve that you do will give you a extra chest at the end that has a 610 Hero 1 out of 6 piece, 3 gilded crests, which that's nice, the highest level of crest, some undercoins, an epic curio, and some resonance crystals. So that's pretty sick. I've managed to pick up one of those, although not on this character, but on one of my other characters, I got a 610 out of that, which is pretty cool. There is a little bit of a maximizing thing you can do with that then. Because those can drop in any delve level, you definitely want to make sure that you don't do bountiful delves before tier 8 if you can avoid it, so that you then get them at the tier 8. I mean, that's just the best thing you can do in general, is to try and avoid doing bountiful delves until you can get them up to tier 8. Obviously, if that's not happening for you this week, it's kind of tough, especially if you're doing it solo. My biggest piece of advice is do a delve with a tank. If you have a tank spec, that'll make it easier if you want to do it solo, unless you're very high self-sustain or very good at your melee DPS, range DPS spec. Doing it as a group. Just doing it as a group is much faster and safer and easier. Revives are a lot more forgiving in a group, so that would be my big advice if you're struggling with getting your delves up to tier 8 this week. Now, there's also some pretty good gear you can pick up from PvP this week, which is... There's Conquest gear. We talked about this in previous videos, about how you could get Conquest gear, champion track, and then stick a socket in it using the sockety item thing, the Vicious Jeweler's setting, which can also be picked up from those War Mode boxes that come every 6 hours. Watch my earlier videos on this channel if you want to hear the discoveries of that. But I actually have a new suggestion with what to do with your Conquest, which is Forged Gladiators Heraldries. So these are basically PvP sparks. And if you want to make a PvP piece, a PvP crafted piece, they can be up to 610 in PvE and 639 in PvE, which is really sick if you want to do more PvEP. But 610 in PvE, using Forged Gladiators heraldries. Now, they cost 175 conquest each. The cap is currently 1,600, so you can get a bunch from just capping conquest. But you can also get 9 from a quest that you'll get. In my guild, we found it was like after your first RBG win or after 4 3v3 wins, you would get an item that gave you a quest that gave you 9 of those heraldries. And what those heraldries allow you to do then is you can get these Algari competitors pieces and put these in as the like basically the spark here, and they will be 610 if they're 5-starred, which obviously you should make sure you get them 5-starred, and you can choose the stats on them so they don't have to be versatility locked, and you can embellish them. So if you say want to use your first 2 sparks to make a 2-hander, and then next week, use Gilded Crest to make that a 636 2-hander, and then you want your other embellishment to be, say, a Nerubian embellishment to make that 2-hander embellishment effect even stronger, you could do that on a 610 PvP crafted piece, and you could socket them with Vicious Jeweler settings. If you use this to craft belts, bracers, you can stick PvP sockets in them. Any rings or necklaces, I wouldn't recommend crafting as PvP items because you can socket any non-PvP items with the Jeweler's, Magnificent Jeweler's setting, which currently costs 8,000 gold. I suspect this price is going to go down over the next while. It was more expensive earlier today. Probably not much further than this, but my guess is somewhere around 6,000 or 7,000 gold for a while that will be at. But yeah, you can put 2 sockets in every non-PvP ring and necklace with this. But you can put, with the PvP socket, you can put into rings and necklaces, PvP rings and necklaces, but you can also do helms, bracers, and belts. So I would advise crafting those if you want to do this. There's also some veteran gear you can get with these bloody tokens, which if you want an extra piece of veteran track gear, this is not a bad idea here. It is also, bloody tokens are also on a weekly cap that goes up every week. It's 1350 right now, and if you do the war mode quest for Sparks of War, you'll basically cap your bloody tokens. You'll get 1,000 just from that quest, and you'll get 350 from doing that quest for sure. So you will basically be able to purchase any item here except for 2-hander, or 2 of the small items if you want. Again, veteran track, so not incredible. Goes up to 636 in PvP. That's pretty good if you actually need some PvP items to then make the conquest acquisition process a little bit more feasible. So that is some PvP gearing insights. If you are capable of stomaching that, definitely some good items that you can pick up out of there. And then, yeah, the main thing I'd say about dungeons is they kind of suck this week. Dungeons are kind of bad. I don't expect to do very many of them. You can still do... Like if you want to do Arakara for the Sack Brood, that makes sense maybe. That's worth it. But it's veteran track gear on M0s. So I would say all of this other stuff is possibly a better use of your time than those dungeons. Even doing the weekly quest, if you're anywhere close to either 16 with Dornagal or 18 with Arathi, which I've been grinding, you probably haven't been grinding to the extent that I have. But both of these come with champion track pieces at these Renown levels, so boots and bracers respectively. So maybe if you're close to either of those, choose them as your rep when you turn in your 10 World Quest, which is the weekly from this person. And yeah, I guess the other thing to note is the Catalyzer is open now. I think it's 1 charge every 2 weeks again this season, so... You'll get another charge, not next week, but the week after, we think. My advice is don't jump the gun on using your Catalyst charge. There is another Omni token that you'll be able to get from M+ rating or AOTC or PvP. So using that to help make your set bonus is going to be nice. Using the Catalyst to help make your set bonus is also going to be nice. But if you can avoid using it until you have a worthy piece of hero track, or ideally myth track gear if you're going to get access to those tracks, that is probably the best thing you can be doing if you are a sweaty min-maxer such as myself. Anyways, that is all I have for this video for gearing up this week. This is the last video I'll be making from here for a while as well. I'm going to fly out in not very many hours, so I'm going to try and get some sleep first, to the Team Liquid Race to World first, so I will try and make some videos while I'm there. I'm going to try and make some guide content, maybe Heroic Queen Ansarek guide, once my guild does that, which I don't know when that's going to be, and then Mythic boss guides again, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that one may be. Bye.